नमस्कार। डॉक्टर के एससीएफआई हार्ट केयर फाउंडेशन ऑफ इंडिया के इस प्रोग्राम डॉक्टर चैट विद डॉक्टर के एससीएफआई में आज मंडे 21 फरवरी 2022 को हमारे जो व्यूअर्स हैं यूट्यूब और फेसबुक पेज पे डीआर के अग्रवाल पेज पे जुड़े उनको सबका सब स्वागत है। और मैं आज बता दूं कि जैसा आप जानते हैं कि मंडे को हम एक एनवायरनमेंट सब्जेक्ट लेते हैं, इन्वायरमेंट क्लाइमेट चेंज एंड रिलेटेड इश्यूज। तो आज हमारा बहुत ही हमने इम्पॉर्टेंट टॉपिक लिया हुआ है। उसका टॉपिक का नाम है सस्टेनेबिलिटी एंड इको फ्रेंडली अपैरल्स। सो आप सभी जानते हैं कि जो फैशन इंडस्ट्री है, हम सब कपड़े पहनते हैं, बट हमको ये नहीं पता होता है कि जो हम शर्ट पहन रहे हैं, टी शर्ट पहन रहे हैं या पैंट पहन रहे हैं, उसका क्या इम्पैक्ट है एनवायरनमेंट में। हमारे पास तो फाइनल प्रोडक्ट आता है और उसका कितना एनवायरनमेंट पे, क्लाइमेट पे कितना इम्पैक्ट होता है, वी डोंट नो। तो ये टॉपिक हमने लिया हुआ है कि जो हमारे जो कपड़े हों, हमारे जितने फैशन हो, जो भी हम कहते हैं उसमें वो इको फ्रेंडली कैसे हों और उस पर क्या किस तरह का काम हो रहा है, ये हम डिस्कस करेंगे। मैं इसी की बैकग्राउंड देते हुए पहले मैं स्टार्ट करूंगा कि जो फैशन जो है इंडस्ट्री इज वन ऑफ द वर्ल्ड मोस्ट लार्जेस्ट इंडस्ट्री कह सकते हैं इसके वर्ल्ड में। जो इतनी इंडस्ट्री डिफरेंट हैं, क्योंकि जो टेक्सटाइल एंड फैशन प्रोडक्ट्स इज वन ऑफ द लार्जेस्ट इंडस्ट्री इन द वर्ल्ड। और जो इस ऑल्सो सेम टाइम जो फैशन इंडस्ट्री इज वन ऑफ द मोस्ट पोल्यूटिंग इंडस्ट्री इन द वर्ल्ड, एज इट इज वेरी वेरी रिसोर्स इंसेंटिव इंडस्ट्री। आप जानते हैं कि अगर एक जो कॉटन शर्ट को बनाने में, उसकी लाइफ साइकिल में, उसको बनाने में करीब 3000 लीटर्स जो है पानी लगता है। सो इट टेक्स अबाउट 3000 लीटर्स ऑफ द वाटर टू मेक वन कॉटन शर्ट। ये शायद हम नहीं जानते हैं, हम तो ये जानते हैं कि हमारे पास आ गई और इसको किस तरह इसमें रिसोर्स लगे और उससे कितना वेस्ट वाटर निकला, कितना पोल्यूशन हुआ, वी डोंट नो। सो डेफिनेटली द एवरी पीस ऑफ द क्लॉथिंग जो हम पहनते हैं हैज ए नेगेटिव इम्पैक्ट ऑन द प्लेनेट। हमारा जो आज हम देख रहे हैं कि उसका, और लाखों क्या, आप उसके कोई नंबर्स में नहीं कितने हमारे क्लॉथिंग हो रही है, कपड़े हो रहे हैं और देखते हैं, तो इसका नेगेटिव इम्पैक्ट भी जब मैन्युफैक्चर होता है तो नेगेटिव इम्पैक्ट ऑन एनवायरनमेंट होता है, प्लेनेट पे होता है। टू मिनिमाइज सच इम्पैक्ट on the planet, we have to use different kind of eco-friendly material like organic cotton. We have to save water, we have to use less energy, and we have to reduce carbon dioxide emissions. Climate change हो रहा है। अभी COP26 में लास्ट ईयर ग्लासगो में हमारे ऑनरेबल प्राइम मिनिस्टर ने बहुत कमिटमेंट किए इंडिया के लिए। तो ये बहुत जरूरी है कि वी हैव टू रिड्यूस द कार्बन एमिशन। और एज पर जो अभी करंट ग्रोथ ऑफ फैशन इंडस्ट्री है, उसके अगर जाते हैं तो बाय 2050 इट इज assume, और इट मे बी, इट कुड बी अराउंड 25% वर्ल्ड टोटल कार्बन इमिशन फ्रॉम द फैशन इंडस्ट्री। आप समझ सकते हैं कि 1/4 ऑफ द टोटल कार्बन इमिशन फ्रॉम द मे बी फ्रॉम द, अगर इसी पेस पे गए और अगर हमने चेंज नहीं किया अपने को, तो करीब 25% कार्बन इमिशन फ्रॉम द फैशन इंडस्ट्री हो सकते हैं। तो इसके लिए वी नीड टू measure the carbon footprint of the every product we make, और इसके लिए to minimize such impact on the planet we have to use जो जितने भी सोलर पावर है, लेस एनर्जी यूज करना है, इको फ्रेंडली जितने मेजर्स यूज करने हैं, और वी हैव टू इन्वेस्ट इन कार्बन ऑफसेट पे जो प्रोजेक्ट्स हैं, उसमें सभी जानते हैं कि सोलर पावर है, विंड एनर्जी है, रिफॉरेस्टेशन है। दीज आर द मेजर्स जो कार्बन जो हमारा हम CO2 जनरेट करते हैं उसको ऑफसेट करते हैं। सो वी हैव टू मेक ए पॉजिटिव इम्पैक्ट ऑन द प्लेनेट by taking eco-friendly measures including planting of at least 3 trees for every product we buy। हम लोग अगर एक ही ले लें कि हम एक शर्ट खरीद रहे हैं, एक पैंट खरीद रहे हैं, और उसमें एक मिशन ले लें कि फॉर ऑफसेटिंग एक उसको, अगर प्रोडक्ट को, चाहे शर्ट हो या पैंट हो या और कोई क्लॉथिंग हो, उसको वी नीड टू हैव ऑफसेट दिस जो इम्पैक्ट हुआ इन प्लेनेट पे, 3 ट्री प्लांटेशन रिक्वायर्ड है। So that we can have a planet जो है positive our world that way. So definitely we need to reach to a more sustainable and inclusive fashion industries by meeting today needs while ensuring that the way we go about meeting that needs meet future needs as well। हमारे जो आने वाली जनरेशन है उनकी नीड को पूरा करें। कैसे जो हमारे पास रिसोर्सेस आर लिमिटेड हैं, जो वाटर लिमिटेड है, पावर को भी हम जनरेट करते हैं, उनके हर एक के नेगेटिव इम्पैक्ट्स हैं उसको ऑफसेट करने के लिए। सो इसी पे हम विल डिस्कस वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट सब्जेक्ट। और हमारे साथ हमारे ट्रस्टी हैं जो एससीएफआई के विवेक कुमार जी, जो इंडस्ट्रियलिस्ट भी हैं, और इस एससीएफआई में उनका बहुत बड़ा कंट्रीब्यूशन पर्टिकुलरली जो एनवायरनमेंट एंड पोल्यूशन कंट्रोल रहता है, विवेक कुमार जी। और उसके साथ हमारे आज के गेस्ट हैं श्री हिमांशु जायसवाल जी, जो कि सीईओ हैं इन जो इंडस इंटेक्स प्राइवेट लिमिटेड जो बेंगलोर में है। और ही दे आर दी जो इंडस इंटेक्स लिमिटेड प्राइवेट लिमिटेड है, द लीडिंग मैन्युफैक्चरिंग ऑफ दी एंड एक्सपोर्टर ऑफ दी अपैरल, जो हमारे और पर्टिकुलरली इको फ्रेंडली एरिया में बहुत काम कर रहे हैं। तो विल डिस्कस दी टुडे टॉपिक। और मैं बिफोर गोइंग टू हिमांशु जी, आई रिक्वेस्ट दी विवेक कुमार जी, ट्रस्टी एससीएफआई, सो आप अपने व्यूज एक्सप्रेस करें और इस सब्जेक्ट को हम आगे बढ़ाएं। ओवर टू विवेक कुमार जी।
Namaskar to all the viewers, and I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome Mr. Himanshu for taking out his valuable time for HCFI for highlighting the subject that how a garment and apparel industry can be converted into a eco-friendly, sustainable industry. And it is not necessary that it has to be labeled as a polluting industry, which currently is what the reputation it enjoys worldwide. हम लोग क्या पुराने जमाने में जब कपड़े बनते थे तो we always used vegetable dyes, and we or otherwise, as I think what Mr. Himanshu will be putting forward to us, is that even though you use chemical dyes now, when you treat the water in effluent treatment, you can ensure that 100% of the effluent is taken out, made into bricks, and these bricks can be used for making houses. So you are not polluting the water in the ground, etc. As we have seen कि अगर आप आज तिरुपुर एरिया में जाइए तो सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने ऑर्डर करके करीब 5-6 साल पहले सारे डाइंग हाउसेस बंद करा दिए थे. And one of the reasons for shutting down all the dyeing houses in Tirupur and in Rajkot में तो कुएं के अंदर से लाल रंग का पानी आ रहा था. And Tirupur area में all the waters were full of cyanide, and they were full of your gray color water. So this all can be changed if we become environmentally friendly. We use sustainable fabric where it is like recycled polyester, or we use organic cotton. People wonder why we should use organic cotton. ऑर्गेनिक कॉटन में क्या है कि जब अगर आप केमिकल स्प्रे करते हैं बड़े बड़े फील्ड्स में तो वो सारे केमिकल जो है नीचे पर्कुलेट होके कुएं में या माने अपने बोरवेल के पानी में जाते हैं या वो बह के रिवर्स में चले जाते हैं. So they pollute this. So it is very important that when we as consumers go to buy garments for ourselves, we should insist on sustainable garments, which could be made out of recycled polyester, which could be made out of organic cotton, और because जब तक consumers इस पे नहीं करेंगे तब तक बनाने वाले कुछ नहीं कर सकते, क्योंकि बनाने वाले तो बनाएंगे मगर जब तक कोई खरीदेगा नहीं. तो ये सस्टेनेबिलिटी हैज टू बी it is something where the manufacturers need the support of the consumers, and the consumers must support the industry that it becomes a better environment for all of us to live. With this, I would like to give the platform to Dr. Anil and Mr. Himanshu to take it forward.
Very very informative and summarized view on the today this kind of industry, and हमें क्या मेजर्स और क्या आजकल हो रहा है पर्टिकुलरली डिफरेंट एरिया में देखा अपने किस तरह का इम्पैक्ट हो रहा है. इवन पोल्यूशन कंट्रोल बोर्ड्स आर टेकिंग दी स्टेप्स हैं, गवर्नमेंट स्टेप्स ले रही, बट फिर भी बहुत से रिवर्स हैं हमारी वाटर बॉडीज आर दे आर बिकमिंग पोल्यूटिंग. तो इसी को नेगेटिव इम्पैक्ट को मिनिमाइज करने के लिए आज हम डिस्कस करेंगे. जो हिमांशु जी हैं जो सीईओ हैं इंडस इंटेक्स प्राइवेट लिमिटेड बेंगलोर में, और उनका विल हैव प्रेजेंटेशन उन्होंने बनाया हुआ है. तो मैं रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा हिमांशु जी से कि टू टेक ओवर दिस प्लेटफॉर्म.
Namaskar to all the viewers. Firstly, I would like to thank you all that you have given me a platform to talk about the sustainability. So, basically, to begin with, it's very important for us to understand that our environment is getting worse day by day. I mean, in last few years, we have been hearing words like global warming, climate change, water scarcity, pollution, air pollution ho ya jo bhi ho. But all these have become a part of our daily language. Everyone is becoming more and more conscious that how can we help to save our environment. We are using जैसे कि अभी प्लास्टिक बैग्स को हम लोगों ने reusable bags में कन्वर्ट करना शुरू किया है. We try to not waste the food, try not to say I mean we always try to save the electricity as much as possible. But what about our clothes? Is there a connection between the clothes we wear and does it really impact the environment, or can we change the environment? Yes, there is a very big connection on it. से जैसे कि आपने बोला कि 3000 लीटर लगता है एक शर्ट बनाने में, उसी तरह जैसे अगर मैंने स्वेटर पहना है उसको डिकम्पोज होने में कम से कम 250 साल लगते हैं, 250 से 300 साल. So imagine the consumption of the apparels in throughout the world. We are making billions of garments, we are selling billions of garments. So where does all these end up? End of the day, all these goes into the landfills. अब जैसे why are we discussing on this subject about sustainability is we don't say that अगर हम लोगों ने sustainable garment बना लिया तो it is like we have achieved a very big thing. It's nothing about that. The only thing what we are doing is the impact on the environment is very less. If we make sustainable goods, we sell sustainable goods. तो उसी के बारे में हम लोग आज बात करेंगे. तो सपना जी आप प्रेजेंटेशन शेयर कर सकते हैं?
जी हिमांशु जी, या.
जी. So today we'll talk about the introduction to sustainability and how does sustainable fashion and eco fashion work. Today we can go to the next slide. And we'll also talk about the ocean-bound plastics, how it can be reused, how it can be converted to yarn, how the fabrics can be made, and what are the values we should bring in to make sure that we are saving our planet. Next, please. Sustainability is, I mean, मैं यही बोल सकता हूँ कि आज से 30 साल पहले जब मैं इस इंडस्ट्री में आया था, तब there was nothing called sustainable fashion. हम लोग वही तड़का भड़कीला शर्ट पहनते थे, but we never used to know कि what actually goes into making a garment look so bright or whatever it is. Then slowly हम लोगों ने सीखा कि हम लोग का जो मेथड है, जैसे हम लोग पहले एजोडाइंग करते थे, एजोडाइंग से जो कपड़ा बनता था उससे स्किन कैंसर हुआ करता था. अब उसको समझने के लिए हम लोगों को कम से कम 15-20 साल लगा. So then people started changing कि अब उसको आगे कैसे ले चले. तो बीच में फिर हम लोगों ने वेजिटेबल डाइंग किया, वो सब भी हम लोगों ने ट्राई किया और कुछ सक्सेसफुल हुए हैं, कुछ सक्सेसफुल नहीं हुए हैं. तो इसके बारे में हम लोग आगे चलते हैं. सस्टेनेबल फैशन बेसिकली मीन्स we have to use less water, we have to be using more organic kind of materials, and the way we make the garment, it is also more important because factory, as you said, textile factory is the second largest pollution, which creates the second largest pollution in the world. उसमें बहुत से harmful chemicals होते हैं, उसमें बहुत energy waste होता है. तो ये सब आगे के स्लाइड्स में हम बात करेंगे. नेक्स्ट. So what are the impact areas of the negative impact areas in the apparel industry? Like resources depletion over here, climate change, animals are suffering, we are cutting the forest, water pollution है, air pollution है, food insecurities है. So how do we control all these things, and how can how can the sustainability be a part of creating a better apparel and making sure that the apparels what is made by the sustainable products are not impacting to the environment as much as what the normal shirt or a normal pant would cost. Next. I think this is what I have already I was telling you. The creation of manufactured products through economical sound process that minimize negative environmental impacts while conserving energy and natural resources. मतलब यही है कि हम लोग, जैसे कि मैंने कहा कि हम लोग ये नहीं बोल रहे कि आप सस्टेनेबल गारमेंट डिकम्पोज हो जाएगा, लेकिन जो चीज हम 2.5 साल तक डिकम्पोज नहीं कर पा रहे, सस्टेनेबल फैशन will make sure that it is decomposing in next 4 to 5 years. Next slide. So eco fashion. Eco fashion can be made with biodegradable or recycled materials. Alternatively, they can be made with organically grown cotton and corn fiber or using eco-friendly production process as such as natural dyes. These eco-fashion support the principle of sustainable by having minimum impact on the environment while making use of eco-labels and recycled materials in the process by minimizing waste. तो बेसिकली अगर आप कोई गारमेंट जाके अगर कहीं शॉपिंग करते हुए अगर गारमेंट देखेंगे तो उसमें हमेशा टैग को पहले देखना पड़ता है कि वेदर दिस इज अ ऑर्गेनिक और रिसाइकल्ड, तब आप that is the only mark where you'll come to know that okay, this is made by eco-friendly garment. It's an eco-friendly garment, so then you can buy that. Not all the tags would say that. Next slide.
Mansuji, this is my point.
Yes.
The tag is basically is mandated by some kind of a standard, or anybody can put any tag. That was the this version.
See, as you are saying this slide now, if you see what is green sourcing, जब आप रॉ मटेरियल खरीदते हैं तो उसके साथ एक सर्टिफिकेट हम लोगों को मिलता है कि दिस इज बीन ऑर्गेनिकली ग्रोन और दिस इज बीन रिसाइकल्ड. तो वो दैट इज योर फ्रॉम देयर व्हेन यू मेक द गारमेंट टिल देन you can always trace the manufacturing process. Now today I have a customer, आप उनका अगर गारमेंट लेंगे, आप अगर उनके हैंड टैग पे अगर आपने स्कैन किया अपने कैमरा फोन से, तो that will show you कि this farmer, it will give the name of that farmer जिसने उस कॉटन को उगाया है ऑर्गेनिकली, then it goes to the weavers, फिर वहां से जहां पे भी मैन्युफैक्चर हुआ है, even that like Indus Intex has made this garment, which is a certified organic factory. Like we have a GOT certificate. There are many certifications which goes. So tag is very important. It's only from the tag that you will come to know whether this is a green sourcing or not. So green sourcing basically can be your organic or organically grown fibers, or it can be it can be recycled by the PET bottles. So then अब जैसे washing में भी अगर there are many plants today which is making sure that they have a zero waste concept. Like अगर आप अभी डाइंग भी करोगे तो उसमें पानी लगेगा, फिर वो पानी बचेगा, फिर आप उस पानी को हॉर्टिकल्चर में भी डाल देते हैं, कोई फार्मिंग में डाल देते हैं. So there are different ways wherein you can minimize the waste. So in fact we also work with most of the mills who are like zero waste companies, because we are also a globally certified factory which comes under fair trade. And if you see, if you go to the fair trade side, it will really explain to you what exactly the process goes in making the organic shirts. Next.
Himanshuji, this is again my point. Like tag is once the tag is there is kind of a certification number on the tag, so that people can see this is authentic, or anybody putting a tag. This is sometime we go like in the mall or somewhere to buy in store, and we simply tag is if it recycle is there. So is there any certification number? Is there something like, or any company? I mean, until unless some authority is certifying, they cannot put tag or something like.
No. I mean, if the tag says this is organic certified product, then there will be the certifications which will be shared with the customer, the brand.
Yeah.
जैसे
So
आपने
basically, Himanshu, what you are saying is that there is somebody who is certifying the product of your company.
Yes.
There is a separate agency, outside agency. So why don't you tell us about these agencies who are doing a study?
See, when you
Who are
basically
saying that
when
you are not, you are doing a proper, authentic work.
so there are certificates like fair trade. There are government bodies like SGS. They are the private sector companies. The SGS और the Intertech, ये सब labs हैं जहाँ पे आप उसको certification ले सकते हो. And especially when the customer, जैसे हमने अभी एक buyer का order book किया, so तो वो अगर buyer को organically grown certified चाहिए, तो we provide the certification that this is organically grown. The farmer जहाँ से गया था या जिस भी factory में इसका spinning हुआ है या dyeing हुआ है, even those weaving industry is also being certified. So is the garment industry, which is certified, like we are certified. So there is a way to check. And as I said, some customers का traceability इतना है कि आप उसके scan, अगर उसको scan करेंगे आज, उस scan में they will give you all the information along with the certificates, where it was grown, where it was made. All these details can be accessible. Next slide. Okay, so fabrics made from one of the best eco-friendly recycled fiber. See, if we use the recycled fibers, or say the recycled PET bottles से हम लोगों ने अभी जैसे polyester yarns बनाए हैं, या you can make it always a mix of organic cotton along with the polyester. It can be blended, recycled polyester. So if we make a shirt, we will save 1,000 liters of waters. 12 bottles of PET bottles can be rescued. So goes in the even the pants. 2,500 liters of the water can be saved, along with 15 bottles can be rescued from the landfills. So this is why we say that recycled or the organically grown garments are needed in today's fashion, so that we can take care of environment. Next slide. Ocean-bound plastic cannot always be that it is lying in the ocean. As we all know, that 50 kilometers के radius के में जहाँ भी आप sea के पास चले जाओ, वहाँ पे भी सारे plastic balls गिरे होते हैं. But end of the day, it will definitely go into the ocean. तो इसके पहले कि वो ocean में जाए, we have to rescue, or we have to make sure that these bottles are segregated and sent to the industries who can convert these PET bottles into the yarns. Next slide. So why recycle? 80 billion plastic bottles are produced yearly, and 80% of the plastic bottle end up in landfills. And I'm talking, these are only landfills. This is not in the ocean yet. The ocean is already polluted with the plastic bottles. So it takes 800 years for the plastic bottle to be biodegradable. So we can imagine what will happen. So it's just a guesstimate that in 2050, the ocean will contain more plastic bottles than the weight of the fish. Next slide. So, अब ये होता कैसे है recycled polyester process? So whatever the bottles, the PET bottles, the mill will source, those are converted into the flakes. All these flakes are washed and then converted to the fiber, which is again sent to the yarn spinnings. And after spinning, it is going to be in the weaving centers where they can weave the fabrics. अब इस fabric से हम लोग जब garment बनाते हैं, तो इसी के बारे में हमने previous slide में बात किया था कि क्या हम कितने bottles बचा सकते हैं और एक shirt में कितने bottles हम लोग एक pant में बचा सकते हैं. Next slide. अब जैसे अभी PET bottles was the first product of the recycled polyester. So in future, we are talking about even the oyster shells. Like in many Asian countries, even like in Taiwan, there are many people who eat all these oysters and the shell is thrown. So what do we do with the shells also? So there is a company who has now started making the recycled bottle along with the oyster shell, and they're coming up with a very fine fabrics. So we always intend to innovate or see how do we give more and more sustainable products to even our customers. Next slide. So आज से 15 साल पहले जब मेरे को सस्टेनेबल प्रोडक्ट्स के बारे में मेरे एक ब्रांड ने बताया था, सो तब हम लोग सोचते थे कि क्या ये सब पॉसिबल होगा. 15 साल पहले ये ट्रेडिशनल मेथड हुआ करता था. वी यूज्ड टू यूज ऑल डाइज एंड केमिकल्स व्हिच इज हार्मफुल. So there was only one brand which wanted to partner with us, and even I started thinking as why not? Why should we become a normal garment manufacturer and not convert ourselves to be a sustainable company? So we started a dialogues with them. It was not an easy task for us because it took me 3 to 4 years only to understand what exactly the sustainable products are. Is it only limited to only PET bottle? Is it only limited to recycle? Then slowly the things, started opening up. Many brands started coming up and talking to us about the sustainability. तो इसको बनाने में कम से कम हमारे 5 साल लगे. जब तक हम लोगों ने अपना सर्टिफिकेशन लिया, उसमें 5 साल तक हम लोगों ने बहुत बहुत मेहनत किया है. And it is never an easy task to get the factory certified, which is totally certified for making sustainable garments. We have many certifications from various bodies. So अगर हम लोग आज बात करें तो मैं सबसे पहले आपको ये बताना चाहूंगा कि we were one of the first factory in India who was certified by a government body called Fair Trade USA. So a fair trade is also something which was never into
What
the garment.
Himanshu, what does fair trade do? What has fair trade to do with environmental thing?
It's not only about the environmental thing. It's more to do with yes, saving environment is one thing because that is their agenda. But they also incentivize the people, basically whoever is in the labor industry. So what basically अगर आप गारमेंट अगर देखेंगे and अगर उसमें फेयर ट्रेड का टैग लगा हुआ है, तो फेयर ट्रेड का टैग से क्या होता है, उसमें एक तो सर्टिफिकेशन हो जाता है कि आपका जो ये गारमेंट है ऑर्गेनिकली बना हुआ है, ऑर्गेनिक फैक्ट्रीज में बने हुए हैं, एंड फेयर ट्रेड गिव्स द प्रीमियम from the farmer to the person who has packed the garment. So more than 1,500 people are incentivized in this scheme. So that's fair trade.
Himanshu ji, I think it's like fair trade is like this new term called ESG coming, the environmental, social and governance. This is it, kind of certification is the ESG. Every company has to go for fulfill the, as per SEBI also, I think that's ESG we have to. So this kind of that is fair trade. That
it is very similar to that. Okay. Like fair trade originally it started only with the coffee. It was the Starbucks which was the first brand which got that certification. Then they slowly moved to the garments. So it's not only about the garments being fair trade now. They are even the US body of the fair trade is very different from the European fair trade. So every country has their separate requirements. So based on that, these are the certifications what we can go for it. So with only one brand, when we started recognizing that what potential really does all these sustainable garments has. Then we started creating more and more lines into the same thing. We started looking for the materials which is more eco-friendly. Then we started making the collection. We started traveling. We started showcasing to all our customers. And today I can proudly say that almost 70 to 80% of the garments what we make in our factory is sustainable. So our future is also sustainable. So it does not mean that the जो normal जैसे हम लोग बिना fair trade के भी garment बनाते हैं, वो बंद हो जाएगा, because many brands will always, they will have to look into their financial terms also, because when you're making a sustainable garment, it is definitely going to cost you 10 to 15% more. तो इस ये एजुकेशन हम लोग भी कस्टमर्स को देते हैं. तो कस्टमर आज डोमेस्टिक में भी अगर आप देखेंगे, देयर आर मेनी ब्रांड्स हु आर मेकिंग सस्टेनेबल गारमेंट्स. तो I would say if there is a brand, they may have, say, they may be making 50,000 garments, hypothetically 50,000 garments every month. Out of that, only they will start only with the 5,000 garments being sustainable, and 45,000 will remain as a normal branding. But there are many brands who have evolved themselves. They are 100% sustainable. Today, those brands are doing really well. So हम लोग भी बहुत फोर्स करते हैं, जैसे विवेक सर ने बोला कि अगर कंज्यूमर in future starts refusing to buy which is not a sustainable or eco-friendly garment, the consumer can bring a change. It's not only that we as a manufacturers will stop it, but when the consumer starts saying no, we have more and more demand on, I mean, we would like to wear only sustainable, so even the brands will be forced to make more and more sustainable garments. So that will make the change.
One question, Himanshu ji, also, because the kind of which is costing more, so you can cater about maybe 20 or 30% of the segment of the people. But mostly in our country, about 70% people who cannot afford the higher cost. So how to entire industry particularly go for, so what kind of measures may be required? So because so people, I mean, poor people cannot afford the higher cost, I mean, that was it. So to go for entire industry, so there are some measures may be required as a holistic approach that may be.
इसमें मैं ये बोलना चाहूंगा कि अगर it's not only about the poor people will not be able to afford it. Definitely, it's a very big question. But what will happen if the consumer starts refusing that नहीं, मुझे आज सिर्फ सस्टेनेबल क्लोथिंग करना है, तो कॉस्ट उसको हम लोग कैसे कम ला सकते हैं? इट्स वेरी सिंपल. क्योंकि जब एक बायर भी अपने जो अगर बायर सोचते हैं कि हम 30% के मार्जिन में काम कर रहे हैं, एंड दूसरे प्रोडक्ट में अगर हम लोग सस्टेनेबल में जाएंगे तो हमको सिर्फ 20% मिल रहा है, now that change can always be good even for the brand, because everyone in this industry, from the farmer till the manufacturer, has to cut down the cost. तो अगर प्रोडक्शन ज्यादा होगा तो ऑटोमेटिकली कॉस्ट भी कम होगा. अभी होता क्या है, प्रोडक्शन नॉर्मल जो कन्वेंशनल कॉटन चल रहे हैं या रिसाइकल पॉलिस्टर चल रहे हैं, उनके प्राइसेस स्टेबल है. तो अगर हम लोग 10 से 15% भी अगर हायर पे जा रहे हैं, अगर समझ लीजिए कि प्रोडक्शन हम लोगों का ज्यादा होगा एंड खाली यही फाइबर्स में बनना स्टार्ट होगा, तो ऑटोमेटिकली द प्राइसेस विल कम डाउन and the prices will be same as what you are normally buying as a, अगर हमने 500 रुपए का शर्ट लिया, कल के दिन में हम लोग 500 रुपए का ही रिसाइकल में भी ले सकते हैं. And that is something which we are also working on. It is not really necessary that a sustainable garment is always on the higher cost. जैसे अगर हम लोग आज रिसाइकल कॉटन भी बनाते हैं, that recycled cotton का cost of the shirt is much lesser than a normal convention cotton.
इसमें हिमांशु जी मेरा सजेशन है कि दिस अवेयरनेस इज रिक्वायर्ड, बिकॉज in this cost, if you include the environmental cost, I mean, that's what the people need to educate that you are paying by simple only the normal cost, but if you include the environmental cost, I mean, what the negative impact is there, and to mitigate that, you need a lot of measures. So environmental cost is included, then it will be more than actually. That's what the normal thing that's compared to the sustainable clothing.
Yes. So it's see.
I also see most of the people in the who are buying affordable clothing are buying polycotton, in which recycled polyester and recycled cotton is used. Then they will be buying the garment cheaper than what they are buying of new fabric, and the longevity of the garment is the same.
Yes, और एक क्या होता है कि मार्केटिंग टूल बन जाता है, जस्ट बिकॉज पीपल को इतना अवेयरनेस भी नहीं है कि ये सस्टेनेबल गारमेंट क्या होता है. even if the brand is buying it for a cheaper price, they will always try to sell it at a higher price. Because ये एक loot है. I mean, it can be a marketing tool that I'm giving a sustainable product, so this will cost you about 10% extra. So all these जो mindset है, वो हर किसी का change होगा, तो automatically you will be surprised that these will be costing less than what you're normally buying for conventional cottons.
Definitely, I think, yeah.
So that is the only way to bring in the change. क्योंकि आप अगर कंज्यूमर ने डेफिनेटली रिफ्यूज करना स्टार्ट किया कि नहीं मैं सिर्फ आज सस्टेनेबल गारमेंट पहनूंगा, तो ऑटोमेटिकली द प्रोडक्शन हाई होगा, उससे उसका कॉस्ट कम हो जाएगा.
And this is the time of the circular economy actually. Unless people will not go circular economy, we cannot be future sustainable that way.
Yes.
बेसिकली क्या है, देखिए डिमांड से ही मैन्युफैक्चर उस चीज को और आगे बना सकता है. डिमांड तो कंज्यूमर को इंसिस्ट करना होगा कि मुझे सिर्फ रिसाइकिल या री चाहिए, बिकॉज हमको अब दिल्ली में जो पहाड़ बन गए हैं गार्बेज के, उसमें आई थिंक ऑलमोस्ट 30 to 40% मस्ट बी क्लोथिंग ओनली.
बिल्कुल डेफिनेटली
70% of the
जहाँ भी आप लैंडफिल देखिएगा, मोस्ट ऑफ द लैंडफिल्स आर अनफॉर्चुनेटली फुल ऑफ क्लोथिंग. Now, if that is put under recycling, imagine how much of the landfill can be avoided. Of course, 80% of the plastic bottles, but then that is coming from a bottle background. I am talking from a textile point of view. That today, according to us, 100% of the textile can be recycled and none of the textile is required to go into the landfill. Even cotton can be recycled, even polyester can be recycled, everything can be recycled. It is, I think, the government of India needs to take a step where they need to make it compulsory that 100% of all the textile items are going to be put under recycling and they will not be allowed to go into the landfill. That is a thing like what they are saying, ban of single-use plastic, etc. Whatever the government of India has taken steps. If they take this major step on this, imagine how much of our landfills can get saved, and with less energy of making new, with lesser energy in recycling, you can produce the same thing again.
Yeah. So I think Himanshuji has very well explained about the industry and about the sustainable clothing, and now what is basically is important to our duty to how to demand the sustainable clothing, so that at least an education is very required to the mass level. So people, when they will be educated, they will definitely know what is the environmental cost, what is the impact on the climate change, what is the impact on the planet. So that's what this topic we have selected today. And one last, I think, Himanshuji, what message you would like to give to our public? I mean, in the last, I mean, what they explained in few words, what message they should take from the today session and they adopt in their life. That was.
I would definitely request every viewer that to save our planet, we have to change ourselves, we have to change our thinking, and we should. जैसे तीन चीज है, वी कांट लिव विदाउट रोटी, कपड़ा और मकान. तो ये नहीं है कि अभी आज सब लोग हम चाहते हैं कि ऑर्गेनिकली ग्रोन फूड खाएं, सब कुछ ऑर्गेनिक चाहिए, तो कपड़ा क्यों नहीं चाहिए? So I would request everyone to wear more and more sustainable clothes, which should create more demand, and the buyers also should change their mentality, get into the sustainable products, try to make it cheaper, and save the planet.
Thank you, Himanshuji. And I think one also the important, just like Abhi, I was just explaining, to offset particularly the carbon footprint of this, you need to plant at least 3 trees per product. I mean, you buy that. If it is at least, I mean, some industry can also the offset. Suppose so if you consider even one tree, one product, if you buy in the year about 10 kind of total shirt or pant, something like. If you consider 10 tree per person or per family, you can have maybe 40 tree per year. So definitely, if you go this way, if you don't have the space, you can contact the SCFI we have this kind of a scheme. You can donate to SCFI. We can plant from on your behalf. Just like on the, suppose you buy a car, we were explaining, discussing earlier, to in the entire life cycle of the buying a car, you need to plant around 400 tree. That was the to offset that kind of emission, that was the carbon. So simply for the as a product also, if you buying, if you buying the sustainable clothing is very, very important, as Himanshu ji said, and the message given. But also at the same time, if you buy one shirt, one pant, you total about 10 product, at least you buying, so 10 tree per person. If you plant, definitely you can offset. With this, I request the Vivek ji to finally give the his views, and we can close the session. Vivek
मैं
ji.
एक बात कहना चाहूंगा सर, क्योंकि
जी.
हमारे यहाँ जो नॉर्मल जो गवर्नमेंट पॉलिसीज है वो हम लोगों को अलाउ नहीं करते कि हम कहीं भी जाके प्लांट कर सके।
जी.
तो जैसा कि आपने बोला है कि आप हमारे बिहाफ से कर सकते हैं,
जी.
I would like to take this initiative from Indus Intex, and I will
Yeah.
definitely contact Vivek sir for this, so that we all, the staff we have here, about 30 to 40, would try and contribute towards planting at least 10 trees.
Yes. Vivek ji.
With this, I would like to thank Mr. Himanshu and Dr. Anil Kumar, who is heading the HCFI Environmental Division, for their valuable contribution and highlighting the subject of how we can all wear sustainable clothing, care for environment, and still live in fashion. Of course, there are companies like Patagonia in America, which has a label which says, please buy clothes only if you need. Unfortunately, what has happened in India now, there is a huge amount of population which is buying clothes for fashion, wearing it a few times, and then discarding them. In case you decide to discard your clothing after a few wearing, and if it is not torn, please try to give it to a charity so that it can be recycled by giving it to people who are in need rather than putting it in a dustbin.
That's
Then
very important. Yeah.
that is very important. And I feel that there are a lot of people in India who are in requirement of these kind of clothing. And there are a lot of NGOs who are collecting these kind of clothing and then forwarding it to people who are in need. Please do give your clothing to them. Please, when you go to any store or when you go to a e-commerce website or anywhere to buy clothes, look for sustainable clothing, look for organic clothing, look for recycled clothing, so that you support this. So which is going to be, at the end, it is only going to help you by helping the environment. Thank you.
Thank you, विवेक जी. थैंक यू हिमांशु जी. एंड थैंक यू और व्यूअर्स. मैं रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा SCFI के बिहाफ पे कि आज जो लोगों ने इससे जुड़े हैं, अपने जितने भी फ्रेंड्स हैं, फैमिली हैं, और भी लोगों से शेयर करें. और इस तरह के जो सब्जेक्ट भी अगर अवेयरनेस होगी तो डेफिनेटली हम जो हमारा प्लेनेट है उसको वी कैन मेक मोर सस्टेनेबल, और जो इम्पैक्ट है क्लाइमेट चेंज का वो मिटिगेट होगा, पोल्यूशन कम होगा, और उससे हमारी लाइफ अच्छी होगी. हम प्लांट एज मच वी कैन डू प्लांट कर सकते हैं. विद दिस आज का ये सेशन हम जो मीटिंग क्लोज करते हैं. और ऐसे ही डॉक्टर के SCFI में डिफरेंट प्रोग्राम्स होते रहते हैं, उनसे जुड़ते रहिए और लोगों को शेयर करिए. नमस्कार. इसी के साथ अगेन धन्यवाद हिमांशु जी एंड विवेक जी.